Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Implants Made Simple. I'm Dr. Robert Stanley, the Smile Engineer, and today I'm joined with Dr. Bobbi Stanley, aka the Smile Diva. Welcome, Dr. Bobbi.
Hi, Dr. Rob.
So, Dr. Bobbi, today we want to take a little different approach on the channel. We want to talk about something that, as small business owners, we all have to manage, which is our tax liability. And so you have a kind of a unique history with taxes. So tell us, how did you get to be so competent on taxes? How did that all play out?
Well, first let me just say, tax deductions are one of my favorite topics, and I love talking about tax deductions. And the reason is because way back when I started my practice, I opened my practice in September of the year that we first began, and April 14th of the next year, my CPA called me and said between September and December of the year that we opened, we made so much money that we owed Uncle Sam a lot of money. We owed Uncle Sam $75,000, which happened to be more income than I had taken home in that small amount of time. And so I thought, how could I have to pay Uncle Sam more money than I paid myself, which really made me angry. So I decided then that I was going to learn about the tax law, I was going to learn about tax deductions, and I wanted to make sure that never again did I pay more taxes than I felt like I needed to pay or that I actually owed.
Okay. So then, like 5 decades later, you've become super smart with taxes. As a dig on your age, of course. Obviously,
You better take that one back.
Hasn't been 5 decades, but a number of millennia have passed, and here you are, pretty competent in the tax category. A lot of times, younger doctors will have children. So what's the deal with children being on the payroll?
Oh, that's a common question that I get. A lot of people want to know if they can put their children on payroll and at what age. And of course, this can vary from state to state, so you do need to speak with your CPA. And let me just stop there and say, I'm not a CPA, so I understand the tax law, but I don't want to give tax advice. So any advice that I give today, I want to make sure that you check with your CPA and that your CPA is really okay and that the tax laws and the state laws are being observed. Now, back to your question.
These are more like tax suggestions that you should vet with your CPA and with your tax attorney, 2 different entities that you recommend people have.
Yes. So your question, should we employ our children in our dental practice? And my answer is yes, and here's why. There are several factors that go into this, one being that we want our children to be hard workers. We want them to understand that you work for what you receive, and the earlier they learn that, the better. And what better place than the family practice, than the family business? So bringing your child into your business and having them earn money is always a great thing for building a child. That's spoken from a mom's point of view. Spoken from a business owner's point of view, it's really a great opportunity for the child to earn their own money because there are expenses that children have, like school expenses, clothing expenses. So if you can pull money out of your practice for your child's employment, that is at a lower tax rate. As a matter of fact, this year, you can employ your child for X amount of dollars and not have to pay any federal or state taxes. And that changes every year. This year it's $12,950. So if you could pull that amount of money out of your practice for your child and put it towards their private school education, buying clothing, paying for anything that is their needs, then that's really huge as opposed to you pulling out that amount of money and having to pay in your tax rate for that.
Okay, so you're using the term pulling out. So some people might not understand exactly what you mean. So I have an 8-year-old cute son. What can he do? Like what tasks can I have him do that would warrant his employment?
Great question. So an 8-year-old or even a 6-year-old, because I suggest that you employ your child from age 6. Again, check with your CPA and your state laws. But even a 6-year-old could come in, they could sweep, they can shred papers, they can file papers if you do that in your office still. As the children get older, They can take notes for you or type things. They could be models in your office. They could be models on your internet. Now, the thing here is you can only employ your child for what you would employ someone else in your office to do that. So if I hired a model for my internet site, then what I would do is I would call a modeling agent and I would find out what the fee is for that model, and then that's what I would pay my child. As a matter of fact, I would keep record of that. I would have the modeling agent send me a contract for a model that I don't sign, but I put it in my records and keep it just in case I get audited, so that if the IRS came and said, oh, you employed your child to model for the internet and you paid them $800, why did you pay them $800? Then you have the records showing that a modeling agent would charge you $800 for that gig.
No, that seems reasonable. So a lot of times you hear people say, I've got a CPA. They don't say they have a tax attorney, but they say, I have a CPA, and that person takes care of all of my tax issues. What do you have to say about that?
Well, a CPA oftentimes make tax suggestions, and that's great. I think they should. But they can't really guide you in your taxes and tax laws. That's the purpose of a tax attorney. So a CPA, their true job is to file your taxes for you. And so to do that, you have to give them the appropriate information. So when I'm talking to other doctors and other business owners about taxes, what I say to them is you want to make sure that you have the facts correct. So when I have the facts correct and I present it to my CPA can do my taxes. But if I don't have my facts correct, my CPA is not going to look at this and say, oh, you know what, this could have been a 100% write-off versus a 50% write-off, because their job is to do your taxes. A tax attorney, their job is to make sure that you're being tax efficient so that you're actually getting the deductions that you need, you're getting the tax credits that you need. So a tax attorney can actually help you to be a little bit more strategic with your taxes.
Right, because everybody should be paying their fair share.
Everyone should pay their fair share.
You just don't want to pay more than your fair share.
Not one dime more, correct.
Right. So with these categories, it seems like it's kind of daunting to keep up with all these categories. Is there a good way that you found over the years to keep track of all of these different assets? In
your accounting software, which most people use QuickBooks, there are categories, and if you put things in the appropriate categories, for instance, entertainment's 0% tax deduction. You can no longer write off entertainment. So if you and I wanted to go to a football game, and we're both doctors, we can't write that off. There's no tax deduction for that. However, if we wanted to take our team and we wanted to go along with them, then that's 100% tax write-off because it's entertainment for the benefit of the team. So as long as the team benefits more than you benefit, then it can be an entertainment write-off. And so you have to understand these things. And as long as you have things in your QuickBooks categories appropriately where you could put that, for instance, you wouldn't have an entertainment category. You would have a staff retreat category because you're taking your team, so it's a team retreat or a staff retreat. And so you want to make sure you have your categories set up appropriately. And so I have, over the years, feel like that I've set up the categories really nicely for dentists to be able to just plug and play. It's one of the things that I do offer dentists if they ever want to email me and ask me to send them that list. I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to do it for the listeners today and the viewers today. That my email is drbobbi, DRBOBBI at stanleyinstitute.com, and we'll make sure we attach it to this video so that people can reach out, and I'll be happy to share those categories.
Well, that's very kind of you, since it took you a number of years to
You're pushing it.
It took you a number of years to come up with that list, so it's very nice. So if you're new, a new dentist in your first few years, when should you start to address these issues? Should you wait until year 10, or should you get on it right away? What do you think is like a good time to get started with these kind of concepts?
So you have to address these issues initially from day one, because if you're a new dentist and you have a dental office or dental practice, you have a business. And by law, you need to treat your business as a business. Otherwise, it's a hobby. And so there are some things that the law requires you to do that would be a benefit tax-wise for us as dentists. One of those things is, by law, you have to have at least one corporate meeting. One corporate meeting. Now, corporate meeting is where you're sitting down and you're reviewing and talking about the past of the office, what's happened to date, and where you want to take the office moving forward. That's more or less what a corporate meeting is. It's old business and new business. You can have a corporate meeting with your board of directors, and you can assign anybody for your board of directors. For instance, you're on my board of directors. Our adult children are on our board of directors. When we have those meetings, we truly sit down with all of us, and we have meetings, and we talk about where the business should move forward. And so when you open a business, by law, you need to have at least one per year. I recommend you have one per quarter for two reasons. One, it's a business. We need to look at the business and perceive the future of the business and where we want to take the business. So we truly need to assess the business in a meeting away from the office. So we need to not be a dentist, but we need to be a business owner. The second reason is where we benefit from taxes, because the law says that you can have that corporate meeting anywhere in continental U.S., Hawaii, Alaska, Mexico, and some places in the Caribbean. So if we wanted to go to Park City, Utah, which is a beautiful place to go in the wintertime to ski, and we wanted to take everybody on our board of directors and have a board of directors meeting there, by law, that trip is a tax write-off because we're having a meeting. Now, you truly have to have a meeting, and you have to have meeting minutes, but you could do that. If you wanted to go to the Caribbean, to certain islands, or to Mexico or Hawaii and have a meeting, the law says you can. You can get outside your office and go somewhere, and the law is not going to restrict where you go as long as it is continental U.S., Hawaii, Alaska, some places in Mexico, and some places in the Caribbean.
But I really think people want to know, though, if you go to Park City in the winter, is your chocolate martini covered?
Well, that's a great question, because if you're having a meeting and your meeting meal involves a chocolate espresso martini, then 100% you can include that.
So, I've made a couple of digs about your age. And you mentioned earlier that you're a mom, but you're actually not a mom, are you?
No, I'm not. I am a mom, but I'm also a grandmother.
You're a grandmother now. So with all of those years of experience, you actually have a lot more information regarding taxes than we were able to talk about today. So where can people get more of this information if they're so inclined?
So I have so much more information how you can make your business more profitable and pay less taxes. We do have an online course that has a plethora of information.
If people wanted to sign up for the course, where should they go?
They could go to StanleyInstitute.com, or there'll be a link down below.
Excellent. This has been another episode of Implants Made Simple. I'm Dr. Robert Stanley, Smile Engineer, out.